Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we are unpacking a concept that totally flips traditional financial advice right on its head, the behavioral blueprint for wealth. We're going to explore why your everyday habits, the stuff you do day in and day out, actually carry way more weight than your raw intelligence or your IQ when it comes to building true financial success. Okay, let's dive into this with a bit of a paradox. You know, we're taught from a very young age that being smart automatically equals dollars in the bank, right? Like the valedictorian naturally becomes the millionaire. But reality? Well, reality tells a very different story. So why is it that so many incredibly smart, high IQ people end up going totally broke? It really comes down to this stark reality. On one hand, you've got highly educated professionals, people with advanced degrees, who are quietly drowning in debt. And then, on the exact opposite side, you have the average earner with, let's be honest, a completely unremarkable academic background who steadily builds massive generational wealth. The secret here? It's not in their test scores. It's entirely in how they behave. Let's move to the agenda and see how this all builds. We'll start with the wealth intelligence myth, move on to the power of consistency, and then look at mastering money emotions. After that, we'll hit practicing delayed gratification, progress over perfection, and finally, we'll wrap up with the true financial blueprint. Starting with part 1, the wealth intelligence myth, looking at intelligence versus behavior. Look, knowing how to invest, understanding compound interest, reading financial charts, that stuff is incredibly valuable, no doubt. But knowledge without the right behavior, that's essentially like having a map to a buried treasure that you just refuse to walk toward. Wealth is fundamentally about behavior, not just brains. You don't need to be a financial genius. You really don't. You just need the discipline to execute repeatable actions day in and day out. Moving on to section 2, the power of consistency and the critical role of discipline. So the crucial point is this. Making a single brilliant financial decision, like say picking a winning stock or negotiating a huge raise, that feels amazing, but one good decision is not going to make you wealthy. True financial discipline is the continuous and, let's face it, somewhat unglamorous act of regularly saving, investing, and avoiding bad debt. It's not some quick Sunday afternoon project, it's a permanent lifestyle choice. When you actually map this out over a timeline, you start to really see the compound effect of behavior. Year 1, well, it might feel totally insignificant as you just start saving. But by year 5, it's basically muscle memory. You're consistently investing. Fast forward to year 10, and you are aggressively protecting your money by actively avoiding new debt. And by year 20, the math just takes over, and you've built substantial wealth. Small actions literally compound into undeniable results. I want you to consider this quote for a moment. Financial success depends on actions taken over many years, not simply on understanding financial concepts. I mean, wow, right? Let that sink in. You could memorize every single finance book ever written, but if you don't actually execute over the span of decades, all those concepts are completely useless to you. All right, on to section 3, mastering money emotions, focusing on staying calm in the chaos. Because let's be real life is completely chaotic. We're constantly bombarded by things that are totally out of our control. Markets crash, economies shift, and those unexpected expenses, like a busted transmission or a sudden medical emergency, they always hit at the absolute worst times. These external triggers are the ultimate stress test for your financial strategy. And this brilliantly illustrates the divide in how people react. On one side, you have fear and FOMO driving impulsive decisions, right? Like panic selling at the absolute bottom or greedily buying into a bubble. But on the other side, calm control. The people who win in the long term are the ones who can emotionally detach from the crazy headlines and just blindly stick to their well-thought-out plan. Which brings us to pillar 4, practicing delayed gratification, or trading the short term for the long term. Now, this isn't just about skipping a fancy coffee. It's the core psychological trade-off of wealth building. Delayed gratification means willingly postponing immediate pleasure today so you can literally buy your freedom tomorrow. It's making the firm decision that your future financial independence is vastly more important than that fleeting dopamine hit you get from a new car or a luxury purchase right now. And here's the best part. Once you master this single behavior, it positively cascades into every other area of your life. It completely transforms your savings rate because you're paying your future self first. It supercharges your investing because you're leaving your money alone so it can actually grow. It even impacts your career, fueling your willingness to grind through the hard hours today for that big promotion and equity tomorrow. Okay, pillar 5,
progress over perfection, dealing with the very real danger of waiting.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it highlights one of the most paralyzing traps in personal finance: waiting until you know absolutely everything before you even start. Let me tell you a secret. Perfect timing? It's a total myth. The market is never perfectly clear, and your budget is never perfectly stable. Taking consistent, imperfect action is going to beat standing on the sidelines waiting for the stars to align every single time. So instead of waiting around, try using this simple, proven process. Step 1, start right where you are with whatever knowledge you currently have. Step 2, just make learning an ongoing habit as you go. When you make a mistake, and trust me, you absolutely will, don't hide from it. Step 3 is to analyze it. And then step 4, simply adjust your strategy and keep moving forward. Wealth is built through iteration, not perfection. Finally, we arrive at section 6, the true financial blueprint, looking at knowing versus doing. If there is one ultimate lesson you take away from this explainer today, it's absolutely this. Intelligence might help you spot an opportunity, sure, but your behavior determines if you actually use it wisely. Your degrees and your raw intellect can definitely open the door, but it is your daily, unsexy habits that dictate whether you turn that opportunity into lasting wealth. So what does this behavioral blueprint actually require from you? Well, it demands the patience to let compounding work, the discipline to avoid bad debt, and the emotional control to just not panic when the market takes a dip. Add in continuous learning and relentless consistent action, and boom, you have a framework that will outperform pure intellect any day of the week. I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. In your own personal finance journey, what are you repeatedly doing? Because what you do repeatedly matters infinitely more than what you simply know. Take a hard look at your daily behaviors, apply this blueprint, and watch your future transform. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. And remember, your habits are your ultimate wealth.